Hey skiers, I'm Jeff from skiessentials.com.
And I'm Bob. How's it going?
Bob and I are here today to talk about the new 2025 Volkl Blaze collection, specifically the Blaze 94 and now 104.
Yep.
Kind of a couple just quick things that we'll get to before we get into the details. I know people have been waiting on mantra content. I think it's fair to say that most everyone's aware that there's a new mantra.
Yes.
And there's been limited amount of information put out on said new mantra. And I think people are probably wondering why. We kind of agreed to not talk about it until Volkl wanted us to talk about it. And that new date that we've been given is July 9th.
Well, we'll look forward to that.
Yeah. And if we're after July 9th, when you're watching this video, go check out the new M7 mantra review. Because I do think that's a cool ski. And like, honestly, there's some like, I guess like spoilers in this.
Yeah.
When we're looking at new technology and stuff like that. So I just wanted to get that out there. Aside from that, this Blaze line from Volkl, we were just chatting about it before we started filming, and I feel like, not that Volkl developed a line of skis without intending them to be successful, but I think probably even Volkl was surprised by the success of this line. And it kind of started as arguably the first hybrid resort and touring ski, or like one of the first with that label.
Yeah.
And then they've since kind of shifted back from putting that label on it and just talking about them as alternative all-mountain skis and freeride skis to Mantra, Kendo. Sorry, Mantra.
Mantra 88.
More on that to come. 102, Katana, stuff like that. The skis that I'd say historically Volkl is more known for. And we know a lot of people that love these skis.
Right. And myself included.
Yeah.
You know, like when we are doing our either comparison reviews or our bargain basements, and there's a Mantra and a Blaze 94.
Yep.
I'm still leaning to a Blaze 94 for
Yep.
a personal ski for myself.
Yep.
And it's really kind of a happy accident, I think, on Volkl's behalf, like you were saying.
It feels like it.
Where like you make something with the intention of it being one thing, and then it ends up being better at other things than maybe you had originally designed.
Yeah.
And I think that Volkl's done a great job at kind of letting the skis speak for themselves.
Yeah.
I would also point out that like Line Skis does a great job with that, with their Vision series of skis.
Yeah.
They just make a lightweight freeride ski that kind of comes in around 1,500 grams or so, and then they let the skier decide. Do you want to tour on it? Do you want a hybrid? Do you want to just stick to the resort?
Right.
You know, I think that that's kind of the way to go about it, is to make a lighter weight ski that really performs well in a variety of conditions and terrain, and then let you make the call.
Right. Like I would make the statement that when Volkl developed these skis, they didn't necessarily picture people putting griffins on them.
Right.
And the reality is that there are thousands of them on snow with just alpine bindings.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of cool.
Yep.
Speaking to the 2025 line, basically just two skis change. The 94 and the 104 get updated. Bob, you've got the 114 behind you, so don't get confused by that. We do have some older Blaze too. This is the Blaze 106. That black ski over there is the current, or 2024 Blaze 94. And very similar changes to the 94 and 104.
Yep.
But obviously we've got a new width here. And then the narrower Blaze skis do not change. So here, these are the two colorways that you can get on the Blaze 86. So pretty cool. And then speaking of colorways, these are both Blaze 104s right here. And neither one of them is indicated or tagged as a women's ski.
And both are offered in all sizes. And
Correct.
I think that's kind of the next step in this progression, is saying, okay, like, you know, some ski companies still make two different graphics but only offer one colorway in shorter and one in longer. These are the same throughout. So that's really kind of equalizing it.
Yep. Yeah, so we're seeing that more and more. And if you're sitting there wondering why is there only one new 94, that's because that is the one ski that we are missing, would be the other colorway in the Blaze 94, which is gray and looks like this. Here's some picture or photo or video clip or whatever.
It's a nice looking ski.
I actually think so too.
Yeah.
It's like by far the most neutral.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just gray.
Yeah.
And I think there's some red on it or something,
Yeah.
if I'm remembering correctly. So you basically have two color choices in each width, with the exception of the 114.
Right, this is it.
If you want a 114, it's going to look like that one.
Yep.
So that's about it. Did I miss anything?
I think that's it for now.
All right. As construction expert and presenter, do you want to take us through the changes to the construction of these new Blaze models?
Sure. I'll grab this 94 here. One of the big things is the implementation of this 114's core,
Yeah.
the green core.
We don't still have that core around, do we?
Ooh,
we give it a
good
give it
question.
back?
I don't know.
We used to have a sample of the core.
Yeah, the green core.
Yeah, usually those things just end up like hanging out here forever.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it for a while though.
Anyway,
Sorry to interrupt.
green core consists of a multi-layer wood core of poplar and beech. And what they do with the central strips is they use recycled PET, or basically like plastic bottles, and grind them up and then form them into this central strip. So they're using recycled material in order to provide basically stability to the core. And you might be thinking that like plastic doesn't sound like the best ingredient to use in a ski.
Sure.
But we've seen it in other companies.
Yeah, Dynastar.
Dynastar uses their PU in their hybrid core really well. Really allows it to be smooth and easy. Rossignol uses ABS in their line control technology, so using vertical strips of plastic. So it's not like it's uncommon or unheard of. Volkl's just kind of using it in a different way, using that recycled plastic to do the job. And since it works in other skis, it works in this one as well. When you feel that core, that one that we have, and you kind of feel that green stuff, it's very stiff.
Yeah.
You know, so they can press it in whatever fashion they want and make it however stiff and dense they want. So it's a really interesting way of using that recycled material to create the intended effect here. One of the big changes is that they've used more of that denser beech along the sidewalls and underfoot in the ski. So an increased amount of beech in the wood core, and that kind of lends to the move towards a more stable and a more durable and kind of slightly more rugged feel, kind of moving the needle away from slightly lighter and more flexible to a little bit more capable in this new 94. And then another aspect that's bringing it closer to that is the widening of the metal underfoot. So we've always talked about how the 94, or any of the Blazes, not any, I'm sorry, 94 and 104, 106, excuse me, used this metal plate underfoot here as mainly a binding retention. And it was full width, but with these indents in the middle here to allow for a more flexible flex. And with the new 94, what we're seeing is just a full edge to edge all the way metal plate. So there's more metal in this kind of binding mount zone. So you do feel that extra edge grip and dampness throughout. One of the other things is they're incorporating 3D glass. So like if you remember, Blaze kind of replaced the 98 and the 108, kind of in the catalog, so to speak. And those use 3D glass very effectively. So that's something that's kind of moving into Blaze, into this spot in the catalog once again. So by curving the fiberglass in a vertical manner, so across and down over the sidewalls, you're putting that in a 3D shape and then stiffening that flex.
So, seen it used in a wide range of skis from, I think you probably saw it first in RTMs.
RTM, sure.
And then, it's been implemented in numerous places since then.
But wait, there's more, Jeff.
Oh boy, please tell me.
The suspension tips and tails carry forward as well. So this rubberized material in the tips and in the tails do help keep this ski kind of, you know, a little bit more on the intended path with less vibration.
I've always liked that you can see it.
Yeah,
You kind of see the black
I know, it makes you feel good about it.
semicircle. It
Just
does, yeah,
that you
just
know
like
that it's
reassuring
there.
that it's in there.
Yeah.
And there's like a decent amount of it.
Yeah. So
I think that about covers it.
that about covers it. I mean, for, you know, a somewhat simple kind of all mountain / freeride ski like Volkl does, they put a lot of
There's a lot-
technology in here.
Yep. Well, and it comes through. You can have the same conversation when it comes to performance.
Yeah.
And I think there's some fun like comparisons that we can make when we get to that point too. Of like, well, sure, there's so many skis in this category, and there were some pretty good questions on some of the social media posts that we did.
Yeah.
Of like, well, how is this different than this? And
Right.
And I think we can get to that later in this video. But I think like a big part of the answer is just like precision.
Yes.
And that is always part of the conversation with Volkl.
Yep.
It's like synonymous with the brand.
So we do get a bit of a boost in weight here, 1693. These are both 179.
By a boost, you mean an increase,
Yeah.
not a performance boost. Or
No.
actually, I shouldn't say that.
1569.
Yeah, so a little heavier in the
Little
new
heavier.
skis, and to do the same thing. Obviously, it's not quite exact with this comparison because this is 106 and this is 104, but say 1700, just about on the nose. And then in this new Blaze 104, about 100 grams heavier,
Yeah.
just about 1800. So they are heavier, but I certainly think it is very accurate to say that they are still lightweight skis.
Yeah, it's not like
in
they
their class.
It's not like they shot the moon with the weight and took them out of this
No.
hybrid category. I mean, they're still relatively lightweight for
Yeah.
their competition, basically.
Yep. Still perfectly suitable for if you want to stay in the family of brands, a Duke PT, or if you're that kind of skier, a Kingpin, or
Yeah.
even something lighter if you're really that type of skier.
Yep.
Do you want to look at flex too while we're
Yeah.
at it? So old skis, maybe we can do this simultaneously. I'll take 106,
Okay.
you take 94. For how light they are, I feel like it maybe didn't come across or wasn't super obvious that there was some stiffness here.
Yeah.
It's not the softest flexing ski in the world, but let's say this new ski is noticeably stiffer.
Yeah, this one, my 94 is equally, if not slightly more. It's not, mine's not a huge difference.
This isn't a huge difference,
Yeah.
but it's a noticeable difference.
Yep.
I feel like it's one of those things where our friends at Sooth Ski, if they could give us some numerical data here to confirm, that'd be great.
Yep.
But I can very, very confidently say that this is at least a little bit stiffer. And you know what's interesting? It feels stiffer like through here
Yeah.
to me, which is like, I guess you're giving credit to the core, not the extra stuff underfoot.
Right.
But yeah, it's pretty strong.
Yeah, and you can tell when
Strong
you're
ski.
looking down the sidewall that there's just a little bit thicker of that core profile.
Yeah. Yep.
So just a little bit more of everything
Yep.
in terms of construction here.
Yeah, so just kind of some tweaks and refinement to construction. And I would say the same is true with shape.
Yeah.
So for the most part, the shape is very, very similar. We can start by looking at rocker profile. So if you want to show that 94 over there, I will try and line up the 104 and 106 here as best as I can. Long story short, actually short story short, because it's not a long story, rocker profile feels just about identical to me.
Yeah, you know, and Volkl's always been known for that long, low
Totally.
rise on both ends.
Yeah, there's not much splay here.
Yeah. And
Really,
that,
like the only ski that they make with a lot of splay is like a Revolt 121.
right.
So just about the same for rocker profile. Obviously, this ski has a little bit more rocker than the ski that you're holding. A little bit more soft snow focus to it. But the very interesting thing with these new skis is we now have a fourth dimension.
Yeah.
I don't think Volkl's saying that, but I'm going to say that. So we've been talking about 3D radius for a while now. That's where Volkl is using different radii in the tips and tails and underfoot. So in this Blaze 106, we had a 36 meter radius in the tip, 17 underfoot, and 28 in the tail. And with this new ski, doesn't matter which one I grab,
Oh, same ski.
They now call it 4-radius drive, and I feel like a missed opportunity to not call it 4D radius, but whatever.
Oh well.
So now we have 20 in basically like the shovel.
Yeah, it's like this tiny part
Right.
here. It's a
Yep.
smaller portion of the ski.
Yep, and then 40, so actually
Yeah.
lengthening through
Right.
this portion
this
of the
part.
ski. And then the rest is fairly similar, 17 underfoot, 22 in the tail. Actually, what was the tail of this ski?
You're getting a longer.
28.
Yeah, you're getting.
So we're getting a tighter
Yep.
kick in the tail. So that's a pretty substantial change. What are the numbers on that ski that you have?
So in this new 94, I am at 20, 40, 17, 22.
Yep. So that really tells the story for shape and construction.
Yep.
Before we get into, I do want to talk about each width and more in-depth performance, but one of the really good questions that we got was, it actually might not have been a question, it might have just been an observation. Somebody said something along the lines of, boy, I hope they didn't screw it up.
Right.
Because they were like, I really like the current Blaze, it's become like a fantastic ski for me. Like, why would they ruin a good thing? And I think we can get ahead of that notion by saying that they certainly haven't. And in my opinion, what happened here is they didn't really take any characteristics away from it. They just added a new ability to make a certain turn shape.
Yeah, and I think that to add to that, you're going to notice the additions a lot more than a slight addition of weight. Like
I don't think that's even noticeable.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to notice any loss of agility or
No,
mobility.
that's exactly
with
what I mean.
The new 94.
Yep.
You're certainly going to notice more the increase in power, energy, stability.
I agree 100%, and that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
Is like, so speaking to this change in radius, and we've often talked about this Blaze 106 or existing Blaze skis as being very, very agile and maneuverable because of how a long turn radius works in short skidded turns.
Mm-hmm.
Like edge release is off the charts easy because the ski doesn't catch. There's no shape to it to catch and want to take you into a turn. So I feel like the perception of this new shape, the kind of kick out, is more noticeable in the shovel, but you could say it's in the tail as well. You could look at that and perceive it as, well, that's no longer going to be as loose because they've tightened up the radius. But I think what's important, and something that I've been thinking about for the past, 48 hours trying to figure out why, is when you're skiing like that and benefiting from swivelly quickness, you're at a relatively flat edge angle.
Sure.
And at that point, because the rocker is so long, this part of the ski is not even engaging with the snow really. When you get it to a higher edge angle, then you start to engage here, and that's where the skis start to, I'd say, be a little bit more responsive and make a rounder turn than they used to.
Yeah, and it also works well with that shorter shape in the middle, where you really, it's that cohesion.
Yep.
And that natural feeling that really stands out.
Yep. So anyways, Bob, you spent way more time than I did on the 94, so do you want to speak a little bit to the performance of the 94?
Yeah, and I think it's no secret that I've loved this existing 94. I think it's one of the best mogul skis at this width for sure, and just has a wonderful energy to it, and those things carry forward into 2025 with the new Blaze 94.
Yep.
What you're getting is just that slight increase in stability and dampness underfoot. If you want to take it to the next level, that's what the mantras are for.
Totally.
A 102 or a new M7.
Yeah.
Like if you're a supremely aggressive skier and you spend all your time in search of that speed and really laying it over and getting a nice high edge angle carved turn on any type of snow surface, then you're probably going to be happier on a mantra. But if you're anywhere shy of that, that's where a Blaze 94 really comes in handy. I think that there's just a big audience for this ski.
Yeah,
and
huge.
like even myself included at 225 pounds, like I ski aggressively, but not all the time. So I think it's really that not all the time section of my time on the hill that puts me in a Blaze 94. I like the quickness, the agility, the mobility, the versatility of these skis more than really anything else out there. They're so incredibly quick, do great short turns. Like that's where I like to live. You know, we ski together a lot. I'm normally doing short, quick turns on the side of the trail, looking for moguls, looking for tighter trees. That's what I like to do. You know, it's pretty rare that I'm really opening it up in longer GS carved turns, at least on my own time.
Yep.
You know, that's where this Blaze 94 comes in handy. So yeah, I think that this continues its reign as an amazing mogul option. Super quick in the trees here in Vermont.
One of the best Vermont tree skis.
Yeah, I mean, it's so quick and agile. You can put it anywhere. It does have that directional mentality to it with, you know, enough tail rocker, enough splay in the tail to make it easy to release those turns. You know, you're not locked in.
Yep. Still,
by any stretch.
I would say still the ideal choice for like a technical skier still. Like quickness and maneuverability is all there, but different than say like a Armada ARV 94, which, you know, same width range, but like much softer flex and more splay and stuff like that. And that ski's like a little looser and drifty. Yeah. Like we were saying before, these are Volkl makes very technical skis. Yeah. They feel like tools for the job to be used accordingly. And
you know, I'll kind of end it by saying that each time I get on a Blaze 94, whether it was the first time in 2020 maybe, when they first came out.
Sounds about right.
All the way through this new iteration. Each time I've been surprised at how much I like it and how responsive it is and how well it fits my style. Yeah. So that's where I'm at with these Blaze 94s.
I'll take that and run with it, Bob, in the sense that on paper, this Blaze 106 does not match me. Yeah. This is not built for me. It is not the right shape, and generally, like, I'd say I'm a little bit different than you, and then I like to ski faster and a little bit more open and kind of fluid rather than short and quick and technical. So, yeah, at first, when I saw this, I was like, well, that's silly. Give me a Revolt 104. Sure. And I think that's probably what happened initially, and then eventually I skied it and was like, that's incredible. Right. Because it, like, takes the things that I love about, like, playful freeride twin tips and packages it into a more technical, more responsive, just more precise tool that can do other stuff too. So I was always surprised and impressed by the Blaze 106. That said, I never like owned one, and I don't know that that has changed either, but I continue to be impressed. And if anything, like this new Blaze 104, it does all the things that the 106 did. It's quick, it's agile, turn release is crazy easy, like making the ski pivot is super easy, so you can be really aggressive in your line choice. But then, like, we skied with Volkl a bunch this past winter, but I'm thinking of the day when we had like some softer snow. I think it was like April, early April. We were skiing nosedive, and I was able to get on this and make some bigger turns. And you did have to still be like a little bit careful. Like you can't just be like, you can't just let it run in snow like that. Right. Because it isn't like, it doesn't have endless stability, but it's better than it used to be. So vibration damping and like the way that it gave me more of a confident feel through like softer kind of bumpy snow than this Blaze 106 would have, while also engaging at a higher edge angle way better than it used to. Yeah. So I just think it's cool that they were able to harness all the things that it has always been good at and boost its its performance just in roundness, which I would say is kind of the one thing that this Blaze 106 didn't do.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that there's a bigger gap on your side.
From performance.
Yeah,
Yeah.
versus mine, and not just that 2 millimeters of width. It's really more of this how the build kind of blends with that.
The new shape
The new
and width.
shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I
kind of
agree.
It's that your new 104 over there is a totally different ski than the 106. I think
Yes.
that's where, if someone's worried about this gap, don't be. If you're a 106 lover and you like that style, I think that the new 104 is a more different.
I think it's more
Ski.
different, but I wouldn't be too worried.
I wouldn't be
I
worried
understand where
either.
you're coming from. I would say the one situation that I could point to is if this 106 is specifically your powder ski.
I think that 106, in addition to the 2 millimeters, is a considerably better floater.
Yeah,
Than
and
your
I'm not sure
104.
why that is, but perhaps it doesn't matter now because
Right.
they have the 114.
Yeah.
You know, if you want a Blaze and you want it to be your powder ski, you should be getting the 114.
Yeah.
And then that leaves room for this ski, now the 104, to be more of a well-rounded freeride ski. And I think that's what they've done.
Yep.
So like, you know, I picture, like this 106 has always been tremendous here in Vermont trees. But for me, I wouldn't have loved it making big fast turns in a Western bowl.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't like, it can do it. It'll get down just fine, but it didn't have like, I don't know, didn't give me that like that reward that I was looking for.
Yeah.
Where this new 104, it just boosts that characteristic pretty substantially without taking away the quickness. So still a fantastic tree ski, still like great for somebody who skis like tight technical lines, or if you're out west, then like you laugh at us when we talk about trees because they're so wide and easy to ski through. So for a Western skier, like a really tight chute.
Yeah.
If you want a tool for that, this works really well still. It gives you a little bit more everywhere else, except for powder.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think your Western bowl situation is a good one because, like, on a skied out Western bowl,
Yeah, just fine.
like I'd take a 104. On a untouched Western bowl, I'd still lean to that 106. You know, I think
Sure.
that this
No,
new
good
construction
point. That's a good
does
clarification.
does a great job with like more adverse conditions. So
Yes.
crud, chop, wind blown,
Yes.
the spring snow we were in, and even like that spring day we were with them, went from firm to soft as
Yeah.
we went down the
And
mountain
the conditions changed a lot throughout the day.
throughout the day.
Yeah.
So when you're in those more variable conditions in terrain, I think that's where the new build and shape of the 104 really make
Yeah.
it stand out.
Totally. We can maybe talk about some comparisons,
Yeah.
I'd say. Another comment that I saw, this one was a question, was how does it compare to the new Ripstick 102? That Ripstick 102 is considerably softer.
Yeah.
So, like, I feel like the big difference between any ski like that, like the Ripstick 102, and like you could say this about like bringing ARVs back in, like say ARV 100,
Yeah.
is those skis get a lot of their maneuverability and a lot of their playfulness from having a softer flex pattern, where Blaze has always been about achieving that through shape while giving you more like feedback and responsiveness from the flex pattern.
Yeah, and you can see that in that long and low rocker profile. I
Right,
think that
right.
is something that
Exactly.
you know, that Ripstick doesn't quite have. You know, it's lower now. That new 102 is a lower profile now, but it certainly doesn't have the same.
Not as long.
It's not as long. This is unique.
Yeah. And like if you took the Ripstick 102 and gave it rocker this long, it would be like
Yeah,
the loosest, silliest skiing experience ever. You would
Yeah.
just be like, I don't know where I'm going. And you literally wouldn't know where you were going because the ski probably wouldn't really turn.
yeah,
So that's the big difference there. And like, I'm not afraid to say that like I am more of a ripstick skier. Like my preference is generally to softer flex patterns and stuff like that because I just I like to take a lot of like park influence and apply it to how I ski the rest of the mountain. It's not that I don't like skiing these, but I would say that matches my style more, is having a softer flex. And not to speak for you, but I would say it's the opposite for you.
Yeah, so I'm thinking of like a Core 105.
That was exactly the one that I was going to ask about.
So
and you love that ski.
Love that ski. Lighter weight, has, with appropriate rocker and taper, which actually lines up. If we put that ski, back to back with that 104, I think you would see a lot of similarities.
Yep.
But just to have that extra stiffness and stability and power in that core, I think, compares really well to this Blaze. I think that the core is still a little bit stiffer. Using those 2 carbon sheets really goes a long way into making that thing ultra responsive.
Yep.
I mean, that's a high end of responsiveness is in that core.
Yeah, but it is similar, similar just overall vibes.
Yeah.
What do you think about Maverick 105 CTI?
Yeah.
Yes and no.
Yes and no. I think that this ski likes to turn a little bit more, and
I would agree.
That's a function of that.
That Maverick
radius.
likes to go pretty darn straight.
Yeah.
In a good way. It's not that it doesn't turn. It's just that's its nature.
Yeah, it's designed to be that more directional charger than this, which is a little bit.
But would
more
you say that
meandering.
this change, the new 104, brings this discussion closer to that area?
Would we ever talk about a Maverick 105?
No.
Talking about a
Exactly.
Blaze 106?
That's exactly what I mean. Yeah.
So no, I think that's a good one for sure.
Any others that come to mind? Mindbender 106C.
Yeah, that's a good one.
If it were to be 104, it doesn't really matter, but I feel like they have similar capabilities. Again, I'd say that this, and that's pretty much true with any comparison that we would make, is going to feel more technical.
Yeah. Yeah, you can really generate a lot more energy out of a Blaze 104 than a Mindbender 106.
Which I would say also should align with skiing technique and ability. Like if you, responsiveness and being a very technical tool can be a great thing if you're a good skier.
Right.
If you have really bad habits, then it's the opposite. Then it's a bad thing because the ski is going to enhance all the things that you're doing wrong.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, that's a good one. I like that.
Volkl's always been like a skier's ski.
Yep.
Skier's brand, and you see it with a strong following.
And then we kind of neglected this 94 with comparisons.
I'm sorry, these are all over here with me.
Something like a Black Crow's Serpo. There's less metal. That metal's brought down.
Serpo's a better carver.
It's a better carver,
For sure.
but it's kind of in that 90s range.
Yep.
Something like a QST 92 is always in the discussion.
That's a good one. That one's a little different.
They feel different, but exactly. The same skier could ski both skis and be totally happy.
In the same terrain.
Yeah.
And get down it and be just as happy, but they definitely feel different.
Yeah, and then you could apply a Ripstick 96 to this as well as your 102 to the 104.
It's almost like they feel more like a Ripstick 96 Black Edition.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So, I think that there's plenty of skis in the mid-90s and mid-100s range to talk about this all day.
Yeah.
There's a lot. These, like you were saying, happen to fall on the more responsive side, the more technical side, due to the lightweight, due to that new radius.
Yeah, and the shape.
And even that slightly more rugged build. So I think that there's a lot going for these skis in terms of pure all-mountain versatility.
94.
Yeah.
Off the charts, yeah. Arguably the most versatile all-mountain ski on the planet.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know that I would argue for it or against it. I think I would probably argue against it, but you could argue that.
Right.
Just because carving is kind of the one thing that I would bring up as if we're talking all mountain, I want a slight uptick in my carving performance.
Yeah.
But that's just me. And for you don't care as much about that.
I don't care as much about that.
Yeah.
Not a big priority.
Right. So.
If it does it, great. But if it doesn't do the other things that I like to do as much, then I'm not into it.
We haven't talked about the self-assessment process very recently. But that's a big thing for me is if you're choosing skis and you don't know what to get, take a step back and really paint a picture of you as a skier, like write it all down. Like I've been telling people to do that I've been selling skis in some capacity for
A couple decades now.
20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like that's something that I've been telling people for a long time is like write down, like create a skier bio.
Yeah.
And that will help just like align your preferences and your goals to the performance of the skis.
Yeah.
So anyways, let us know if you have any Blaze questions about any of them. We can talk about these, even though they haven't changed. We can talk about the 114 more. Happy to answer any questions that anybody might have. Look out for an M7 Mantra review
Yay.
on July 9th. And we'll have a little bit more like teaser clips and stuff on that next week, I think. So anyways, thanks to Volkl for getting us all these skis to talk about.
Yep.
Let us know if you have any questions, and we will talk to you soon.
Bye.